Hello friends, and welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 40. I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And this is Saturday, no it isn't. It's Friday, April 22nd, 2022, 4/22/22. That's kind of nice. I like numbers. I don't know. Those of you who know me in person know that I like numbers. And really, I think that's one of the reasons I like cross-stitch and quilting, the geometric type of quilting, because it involves math and counting and calculations and things like that. So anyway, Flosstube means cross-stitch and Variety Show means something else. So we'll see what that turns out to be today. So on the cross-stitch front, so I didn't make a video last week, regular Flosstube and Variety Show video, but I did put up a special edition video on how to play Giotto, which I know some of you watched. And as I watched it after making it, I thought, I still don't quite capture it, but I really think that it's something that you need to just try. And I may try again. I may put another video up at some point about that. What would be, I think, interesting would be to see a real-time video, and maybe I'll get my husband to be the clue giver, and I will actually, in real time, try to show you what I'm thinking and how I go about it, which will involve getting the camera angle such that you can see me doing it on paper, because I don't actually do it on a computer screen. So back to the topic of cross-stitch. The sentence started with cross-stitch, then this huge parentheses about Giotto. Back to cross-stitch, really. I didn't make a Flosstube video, because it was such a busy week, and really it's been a very busy 2 weeks, and so it may seem as if I have not done much cross-stitch, and maybe I haven't. I've probably done less than a week's worth of my normal pace of cross-stitch in the past 2 weeks because of everything that's been going on, but that's all right. Here we are anyway. So first I wanted to show purple sampler, and some of you thought about what the partially done thing might be, and so I'm going to show you now. I've finished that. What do you think that is? That, I hope you can tell, is a bear. And I also added a little bird up there in the corner. And that introduces a fourth color. And I don't know for sure that that's the color I'm going to leave. So the fourth color meaning the little brownish color that I used for the beak and legs. And I did that because in my pre-work for this, I did I just stitched up a few things in our chosen colors, my person who commissioned it, my friend. And she said she really wanted it to focus on purple, that darker purple. She wanted to be the main color, and that I could use the other colors, the lighter purple and the green, as accents. And so I did a little bird, and it was ridiculous to have the bird with green legs and bill. So we agreed that I would introduce a color, a brown or orangey color, to be the legs and bills of birds. So that's the first time that appears. I have several candidates for that color. I'm not sure I'm going to keep that one in there. I might go with a brighter one, actually. I don't want to distract from the whole sampler, but it maybe could be a little brighter than that. So we'll see. What I have done so far is 9 inches. And my next plan here is I'm going to put in another border, a border of this width or maybe a little wider, and then another narrow border, and then have another section of something. And I wanted to show you something I'm working on. So one of the interesting things about this sampler is I'm getting a lot of my content for it out of this book, as I've shown before, Ultimate Sampler Motif Source Book by Brenda, where she has gone to antique samplers and charted the motifs from them. And, there's 1,000 in there probably of different things, and they're organized by what they are. You know, there's a whole page of birds, 2 or 3 pages of birds, and some crowns, and of course a lot of alphabets. But one of the things I want to do in this purple sampler for my friend is to put things in it that have some meaning to her or to us. And so I've done some charting of my own. So the tent I charted myself, as I mentioned last time. And I'm charting something else. I'm just going to show you this much of it. My friend may be able to decide what that might be. One of the things that is hard is to get it the right size. And it needs to be the right size to fit in a space on the sampler, as well as the right size to look like something, look like what it's supposed to be when it's rendered in cross stitch. So that's something that takes some time. This is one reason that I go in fits and starts on that. It's not that I'm not working on it. It's that I'm not working on the stitching part. I'm working on the calculating the next thing part, which I do enjoy very much, but it just doesn't look like much to you video viewers, or to my friend who also watches these videos, probably with some curiosity to see what's going to happen next, because she doesn't know, because I don't know. So it's kind of fun. All right, the next thing I'll show, this Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather. I have made a lot of progress. I mean, I've put in probably 300 or 400 stitches. I don't know if I had it out of the hoop the last time I showed it, so I thought I would do that right now. I've been mostly working up in that rose bush. And my current goal is to, and maybe it will take me a month or more to do this, but to fill in all of the blank spots up to around this grid line, right around in there. That's about as far as I can reasonably go before I have to shift the gridding and take the red lines out, which is number 4 test fishing line, and continue the grid over into this section. Now, interestingly, I'll mention this again when we get later, but this is about 38% done, which this is the whole width of it. And I know that because I am using Pattern Keeper, which is an Android-based app for keeping track of that. So I am making progress. Whenever I sit down to work on that, I'm either really excited about it and do 200 stitches, or it's tedious because it's a lot of confetti and I do 50 stitches. So that's one of my challenges with that. Flea Market Flowers. I'm showing this more to inspire myself to keep going on it, because I have done all those little flower petals from that big block there, central block. It's kind of pathetic, but I've had a week, so I mean a busy week is what I mean. But you know, it's nice. It's nice. I think I might make this into a little pillow. In fact, I might go with the new chair I have in my family room when it's done. But it's very fun to do, very fun. Now, as you recall, if you watched last week's video, let me just have a sip of water. I have been dithering about starting something new, and I did it finally. So what I decided to start is this Sunflowers by Monet by Tiny Art. I am going to show this to you in the hoop because the entire thing is there. All this red fabric is just making this piece of cross stitch fabric wide enough, but I'm doing this on 18 count Aida. And this is about 38% done. So the contrast, this is a full coverage piece. Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather is a full coverage piece. This took me about 2 evenings. and that has taken me over a year. So that's just funny. This is really almost addictive to work on, partly because the progress is so fast. I mean, I have 2 zeros in colors, i.e. I've stitched all the stitches in 2 different colors in this. That's amazing. I haven't hit a 0 yet in Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather. I mean, I'm making a comparison which is totally ludicrous because they are not similar at all, other than that they're full coverage pieces. But that's fun. I will definitely be making progress on that in the next week because it's really fun to stitch. Maybe I'll finish it. You never know. So that is what I've been working on in cross stitch. And I wanted to show you something I recently received, purchased, I should say. One of the YouTubers I first watched called this Acquisitions. So I acquired this. And this is called Red Letter Day by Theresa Venette. And it is a 7, I think, red samplers that she reproduced. So this is an example. There's a lot of interesting text in it. It's nicely laid out. It's really nice quality. The charts are really very clear. And it's quite interesting. I mean, I would say that it's an interesting book even if you only read it and never stitch anything, which is possibly what I will do. But one of the things I found interesting in it is, let me go back to this page. So this is a reproduction of a sampler from the early part of the 20th century, which is kind of late in the sampler world. I think the heyday of samplers, at least that I have noticed that are reproduced, is in the middle of the 1800s, the middle of the 19th century, and even maybe the early part. Now, samplers were created back in the 1700s, certainly, and clearly in the 20th century, and even later than this, I've seen some. This is 1905, 1906. But what I found interesting about the later samplers is that they're more sophisticated, they're more artistic, if you will. They're more representational than motif or icon based in their design. And this alphabet is an example of a very sophisticated and complicated, ornate, maybe is the word, alphabet. Now, am I going to stitch that sampler? Probably not, but I could imagine using one of those letters on a little pincushion or something as a gift for somebody whose initial it is, i.e. a monogram type thing. Because the letter is quite nice. Each letter is nice. Even that alphabet is nice if you like that sort of thing. So that's just interesting. I got the book really to support Theresa, who has a online store called, well, I can't remember if it's under Kitten Stitcher, which is her Instagram name, I think, or if it's under Shakespeare's Peddler, which is her design name. So one of those two things. Now, at this moment, we're going to hear a little noise because my husband is coming in with the groceries, which we're very happy that he's coming in with the groceries because that means he bought the groceries and I didn't buy the groceries. So we'll just put up with a little bit of rustling in the background for a moment or two. So that is the cross-stitch content. And now I wanted to go back to the topic of the purple sampler. I'm not going to get it out because everything will fall on the floor. And the tent and the bear, and tell you a little story. So the reason that I put those things together in that sampler is because one of the things that our family and my friend whom I'm making it for, Anne, have done together is camped in Algonquin Park in Canada. And our favorite place to camp there is Pog Lake. Pog Lake is a small campground. I don't know, there might be, possibly are 100 sites in it, but the section we camp in feels smaller. You know, it's in 2 different or maybe 3 different sections, and the one we camp in is on the lake. And it's a little small lake. You can clearly see across it, and it's a great place for camping. And we love it. We love it there. That's really one of my favorite places on earth, is Pog Lake in Algonquin Park. And that's in Ontario, by the way, if you want to look it up. Well, we've camped there several times, families, along with our friends Cindy and Brent Clark. Cindy, my quilting buddy. And this one particular time we were camping there, it was the only time that there's ever been a bear alert in the campground area. I mean, clearly there would be bears in the wild area around in that park. It's a very large park. Black bears, I mean. But this is the only time that we were ever there when there was a bear alert in the campground. And I have pictures that show, you know, the alert signs, and there was even a bear trap, you know, a big steel contraption like you would pull behind a truck that had a door on it, and it was baited, I think. Pretty sure it was baited, because the hope was to catch this bear that was going through the campground and transport it to a wilderness area where it was more suited to its lifestyle and it wouldn't encounter people, because bears that have much contact with people have to be, if they have a lot of contact with people, if they get used to eating garbage and things like that, or if they ever harm a person, they have to be euthanized. But the hope always is to catch a bear and transport it to an area more suitable for it, that's farther away from where humans are active in areas like that. So, bear alert. Normally we always are under the instructions, and we always do put our food away in the car and lock the car, and, you know, don't cook in our sleeping tent and that kind of thing. Keep food out of the tent. Don't have food in there overnight. Put your garbage in the bear-proof garbage and all that. So we always do that, and this particular visit we were very much urged to do it because there was actually bear evidence in the campground areas of Algonquin Park. So Friday night, our campsites are, you know, we're very quiet. We have a nice quiet campfire and chat and go to bed at a reasonable time. Well, the neighboring campsite had a couple of pickup trucks and a bunch of people, and they were loud, and they were consuming more adult beverages than was good for them, probably. And at the end of the night, they got in their campers and their tents and went to sleep. I don't think they had tents. I think they had campers, though I don't remember. Maybe they had tents. And went to sleep. And they did an inadequate job of cleaning up. They had roasted corn. They had something else they cooked on their campfire. And it wasn't cleaned up the way it should have been. And as we were going to bed, we knew that it was likely that they were not going to be in a condition to clean their campsite before they went to bed. But, you know, what can you do? So we went to bed. We went to sleep. And around sometime in the middle of the night, fully nighttime, I woke up because I heard noises in that campsite next to us. And I should tell you that my friend Anne and I slept in the girls' tent, and my husband and son, who at the time was, I don't know, 15 or something, slept in the boys' tent at another, you know, both on the same campsite, but offset from each other a little bit in the campsite. And I woke up and I heard noises in that campsite next door. And I heard, in particular, I heard the bed of the pickup truck that was parked right on the edge of the campsite. I heard the springs creak in that truck. And I heard, you know, rustling around, and my memory tells me I heard snuffling sounds. I don't know if I really did hear that. I don't know. But soon Anne was awake. We both heard this noise, And I was fumbling in the dark with my cell phone and getting a flashlight and looking at the campground newspaper to figure out how do you call 911 when you're in a campground in Canada? Well, I figured out what to do. I called the Ottawa Provincial Police. That was the instructions in there, and reported that I thought there was a bear in the campground next door. Well, so we were talking quietly in our tent about what to do, listening to the noises from the next campsite. And I finally decided, I have to go to the bathroom. That was something that happens at nighttime. I get up and have to go to the bathroom, and even in a campground. So I pulled on my clothes, my shoes over my pajamas, and said, I have to go. And so I took, I think I was armed with a pocket knife. Maybe not, maybe I'm misremembering that, but I took the phone because I had a flashlight, and part of the trail up to the washroom was darkish. So, and I left. And then, so I was gone. Well, then I learned later from my husband that and I don't know if my son woke up or not, but he did. He heard the noises. He knew what it was. And he heard our tent zipper open and close. And then a little while later, he heard the tent zipper open and close again. And then he heard the van door open and close because Anne decided she didn't want to be alone in the tent with a bear 30 feet away. So she got in the van, feeling safer there, which that is a fairly safe place to be. And so my husband is back there thinking, okay, so they've driven off and left me and our son to the bear. Well, of course, we didn't drive anywhere. I came back having visited the washroom, and shortly after that, the police came to the campsite next door and woke up the people. The bear had left, woke up the people in the tent. It was clear that the bear had been there. I wasn't imagining things. And the people got a fine for not cleaning their campsite and for attracting a bear and something else. And I think one of the police officers came and talked to us, or maybe I got out of the tent to talk to him because I had been the one who'd made the call. I'm not sure how that happened, how I learned that the fine was $350, which is not that much money considering the risk that attracting a bear to our campsite did. But anyway, the bear was gone, no harm done to us, no harm done really to the people next door. I think their truck was scratched a bit, which seems like a minor issue also. We heard later that the bear did go, that particular bear probably that night, or that particular bear maybe another night, went through a campsite which was empty. It didn't have a person sleeping in it, but it did have a tent in it and messed up the tent somehow. So there had been something that attracted the bear to that tent. But anyway, that actually, I think, was the very last camping trip that we've taken. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that, why that was the last one. It wasn't only because my husband has now refused to ever camp again, but it was also just the situation, our lifestyle and so on. It just changed so that camping was not necessarily going to be what we were going to do. I do hope to go back to Algonquin Park, if not this year, next year, and stay in one of the lodges there with my friend Anne. That would be a great thing. We are thinking we would go in September when the color is there. And it's less populated with campers. And it's also in September, by the way. Another dangerous thing is it's the moose rutting season. So we possibly would be able to experience that, although you do not want to experience that up close, as I understand. Anyway, that was the bear story. That's why there's a bear in that cross stitch next to the tent. Now I'm going to just show one other thing. One of the other things I've been working on is this pillow sham. And I'm going to cover my face with it momentarily. This goes with a king-size quilt that I made as a commission for a friend of mine at church, and I finally finished it, and I've been mainly doing recently the binding on it, this yellow binding on it. It has to be hand sewn to the back. Well, that is to say, I choose to hand sew it. There are ways to machine sew it, but I think it looks much nicer if it's hand sewn. And it's a nice thing to do while watching TV, or in particular if you're watching baseball or some sport that does not require 100% of your attention. So that I've been working on. I have one more, that one is done, and I have one more to do the binding on, so that's almost done. So that's something I've been doing this week. I've been trying to check off some projects because I have some quilting I am wanting to get going on, some quilt making. One is a gift for a friend, and the other is a potential commission. So I wanted to show you this. This is DMC floss, as you see. Blues and greens, nice selection. There's a nice gray in there. And the reason I have this, and I'm talking about quilting, is because this is an idea that I came up with for helping a friend of mine who wants me to make a quilt for her son's wedding tell me what color she wants it to be, because she lives in Ohio and I live in North Carolina. And putting things in the mail is too slow. So what I said is, go to your local Joann's or Michael's or any craft store that sells DMC floss, pick out the colors you want in DMC floss, and tell me the numbers, and then I will go to my local craft store and buy those colors, and then I will match them to fabric. So that's how we're going to do this, and I think that's really a pretty smart idea. Another way to do it would be to go to some nationwide paint store, such as Sherwin-Williams, and get the paint colors off the paint chips. You know, say I want Sherwin-Williams, you know, Seafoam Green, which is number 4863B. And then I could go to my local Sherwin-Williams and find that color and match the colors that way. But I think the floss is good. The nice thing about floss is that it is a fiber, which is similar to what fabric is, which is a fiber. So the colors might be able to be matched more exactly. And so my next plan on this quilt, so I'm waiting for her to confirm that everything, we're ready to go on it. And then my next plan on that will be to match these colors with fabric. And I prefer Kona cotton, which is a solid, it's a line of solid fabrics by Robert Kaufman. I like that one a lot. And I also like Moda. They have a solid line, which I can't think of what the solids are called. Bella, I think. Bella solids. That's also a nice solid line. And they have a lot of many colors. I think the Kona colors are maybe more than 360 different colors. I bought on a whim 16 one-yard cuts of 16 of the Kona grays. I bought them online from Missouri Star Quilt Company. That's a great place to get fabrics. And that's a story in itself of why I did that. But anyway, let's just say I had more than 16 in my cart. So there are a lot of different shades. Okay, I've rambled on, and the way my phone is set up, I actually can't tell how long I've been taping. There's an old term. How long I've been recording. I hope it's not too long. I hope that you've enjoyed this, found something of interest, something of interest in today's video, and I hope that you have a nice weekend and upcoming week, and I do plan to make a video next week, and hopefully I'll have some interesting progress to show. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to my new subscribers. I appreciate that very much. I think there's some benefit to me that is benefit as in ability that I will have that comes if I get 100 subscribers, and I'm getting close to that. So if you watch and you enjoy this and you feel like it, it would help me, I think, if you would subscribe. And since I'm not 100% regular on Friday videos, though that's worked out better recently, if you hit the, if you do click the little bell next to the subscribe button, you will be notified when I post a new video. That's the notification bell is what they call that. So anyway, thanks so much. Thanks for watching, and many blessings to you, friends.